Hey guys, this is Those Guys with your host, Matt Marrero, along with your other host.
Satish Ram, what up?
And what are we doing tonight, Satish Ram?
Gravity Falls, Season 2, Episode 14.
The Stanchurian Candidate.
Which is a reference to the Manchurian Candidate.
Yes, in case anyone didn't know. This episode was really, really good on many levels. And it's funny because you're going to sit there and think, that's what he says about every episode. And crap, it might be. But I just, I said this before, I'll say it again. I like how episodes that seem like filler add in possible foreshadowing to the scariest thing that could ever happen, ever. Not the fact that Stan's mayor. Not the fact that Got Him guy, he's not Get Him anymore, he's evolved to Got It. Got It guy is mayor. No, just the idea that, Gideon is still being Gideon. Jail stopped him in a way where he's not physically around, but there are still ways for Gideon to kind of do his bidding. Also, what I consider, in a way, not more important, but still somewhat important, the Wedge and Stan and Floyd's relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And also I mentioned the whole, Gideon's still, doing stuff. Even if Gideon's not going to have mind control, he still can control his dad pretty well. And that's scary because of the fact that, Bud Gleeful does still talk to his son. And they were really close to running the entire town. Even with Bud saying, I wanted to let bygones be bygones, screw that. He's talking to Gideon. Gideon,
obviously he was trying to fucking ruin Stan and the rest of the Pines family.
Yeah. It's just, and even if he wasn't, let's just pretend he's such a nice guy. Gideon uses mind control, bam.
Yeah, because Gideon's, I think Bud might be a little bit more, human.
Yes. Yeah. Than Gideon, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that in the sense of, Gideon's an evil little bastard. And
yeah.
I think what's interesting about him is that, when you roll back to that wheel, which came up later on, Bill's wheel, there's symbols on it. And we've always speculated, one of them is definitely Gideon's symbol. And I bring it up because one of them used to, I think the llama or whatever it was, a lot of people would throw back and say, that's Pacifica, right? And
right.
in recent episodes, not in recent episodes exactly, but recently enough, I would argue, we've seen the turn of Pacifica from a heel to a face, meaning in non-wrestling terms, just becoming a better person. And so I was kind of worried in a way that if this episode involved Gideon, which we had it confirmed to be later on, I didn't know for sure. I assumed, right? But then we physically saw him. That it might have somehow involved him, also turning to a better person. And that concept bothered me because I still want there to be, more villains than just Bill and whatever Stanford brings out.
Yes, no, I want Gideon to one day work with them in the sense that the enemy of my enemy is my friend, but not in I'm a really, not even anti-hero necessarily, because I think anti-hero, you can't...
He's not going to be an anti-hero. He is going to be the enemy. Yeah, exactly the way you said it. It's going to be I assume that Bill's going to fuck him over, and it's going to be the enemy of my... Yeah.
Technically, he should not like Bill.
But arguably there's another one coming. Arguably there's another one coming here.
Another what?
Another fuck-up coming, because he implies that he's ready to make another deal with Bill. And I'm just sitting here at the end. And I'm just sitting here well, is this going to be the breaking point then?
Yeah, no, there's going to be something's going to happen where it's just we need to work together against Bill. And it'll probably be a 2-part season finale thing where it's just, the commercial will just have Gideon appearing. Just, Gideon, what are you doing here? We need to fight against Bill. Gideon against Bill? What's going on here? Oh, so many questions.
You've been watching Disney XD a lot, right?
Well, a lot of the Gravity Falls, because it's really
interesting. Because that's literally the Gravity Falls promo. Just promo. So many questions. Gravity Falls.
It's the bumper, no Yeah, no matter what the commercial break goes to, that's the bumper for Disney XD. Oh, so many questions. Well, for me, it's the thing where it's like, I'll have TV on as background noise, as you do as well. And, Gravity Falls, because I've seen them all and because of how great they are, even Steven Universe, but, it's just like, hey, you're background, and I love you. Right? So anyway, but yeah, I just think that there's, that's probably what's going to happen, I feel. I even think, it's funny how it's like, Matt, you could even see how they're going to put it into a commercial. Yes. As a person who does shit like this a lot, yes. Who thinks about this shit a lot, yeah.
We do have these discussions a lot. We fucking podcast about it. I get it.
Right, yeah. But I love, too, about, like, before we got to even see Bud Gleeful, if we didn't see, with Gideon, if we didn't see Gideon, there was still that idea of just that little tiny thing of, like, do you still speak with your son? But wait, was it, who was saying it? Toby determined, right? It was like Toby was like, do you still have contact with your son? And it was just, and he was like, and then walked away. And I was like, well, that just all but confirms it to everyone in Gravity, minus everyone in Gravity Falls who doesn't
even though they got their free car thing, that's what distracted them.
Not just that, they're just generally, yeah. They're all a tad strange.
I love that character so much.
Not only does he look like the main character from Twin Peaks, by the way.
Wow.
Right? You didn't notice that, did you? Yeah.
No, I did not. Wow.
Yeah, no. When I saw him, I was like, oh, that's hilarious. I don't know if it was the same voice, the same actor, but, voicing him over, but still, the fact that he looked just like him, I laughed so hard. Because, of course, if you know in Twin Peaks, he was a detective who came from out of town.
I loved it. Everybody's a tad strange, except, Tad Strange. Hey!
Ironically.
And I was like, oh, my God. It just reminded me, have you seen SpongeBob when he turns normal?
Possibly. Is it an older one or is it a newer one?
Yeah, it's like a medium-ish one. It's not one of the originals. But he became normal, and just all of his exchanges with Squidward's, hi, how are you? Wonderful weather we're having. I remember.
Yes.
All right, see you later. Hi, how are you? Wonderful weather we're having. All right, see you later. And that voice, too, and I loved it because Tad Strange is there, and Tad's like, I think he complimented Stan, and Stan's just like, that means a lot coming from you, Tad. And I was like, God damn it. God damn it. Why?
I love it because it's a character we've never seen before, but I pray to every god. I pray to every god because I know that, it's a higher chance, right? I pray to every god that we get more of Tad. That was an underrated statement. I pray to every god that we get more of Tad Strange because, look, we haven't seen him till now. I understand some criticizing that. Okay, just have him appear more.
I'm sorry, but the Tad Strange character is funny as hell to me.
He's the best thing in the world to me. Just I like bread, and I'm like, wow.
That made me laugh. Just everything about Tad. That was one of the subtle things in this episode that really made me laugh. I can't.
Yeah, I wonder. Some people might not have heard of this phrase. It's not even a generational thing. I wonder if some people, you're white as white bread, or you're as white as bread. You know what I'm referring to? Like
Wonder
Bread.
Wonder Bread.
Wonder Bread. Thank you, Wonder Bread. Yes. I think the first one that I said though does exist, but Wonder Bread is definitely better. Just the idea of it is like as blank as a canvas. That's what I'm trying to say. Not like a white thing. It's just blank as a canvas. You're blank. There's no it's not like you. Yeah. So. Like, Bubblehead also works, but I think, I think if he had bubbles for a head, it'd be fucking weird. So, the fact that he's Tad Strange, who, ironically, isn't strange.
I love that only because of the fact that his name, it's just such an on-the-nose joke that it gets me to laugh.
Yeah, no. It's one of those jokes that if this was a Japanese show, everyone translating it or editing it would be fucking furious. Speaking of my love for Japanese things, everyone would be furious.
Right, because what the fuck do you do with that?
Well, it depends. You either translate it to Tad Strange, which I assume would be a localization of, slightly strange, right? Or you keep it in Japanese as whatever slightly strange is in Japanese. But there's two camps, Satish. There's probably more, but there's two big camps.
You as an ex-fan sub are aware of this, not even kidding, so...
I've never done such a thing. I'm an ex-fan. I'm kidding. I still love Toku and anime.
I know.
But
I know you can't legally admit to it, but
what's funny is, like, depending on, like, what I want to do with my life, I feel like I'd rather say that I stole a car.
It's kind of funny when you think about that, right?
And to be fair, though, I have to admit, to be fair, like, no one should really, like, you wouldn't download a car. So I don't think anyone should really download anything. Because you wouldn't download a car.
I just downloaded a JPG of a car an hour ago. Now I feel really bad about it. Thanks.
You know what I hate? I was hoping you were going to be like, I actually downloaded a new car into my GTA 5 mod. Thanks, asshole.
It's funny. That was my follow-up joke. My follow-up was like, I downloaded, not GTA 5 though, Need for Speed Underground 2, because that's the one that came to my mind. Just like, I just downloaded the Skyline into my Need for Speed Underground 2.
That came out.
Is that illegal? I think Underground 1 did.
Okay. No,
one of them did, and it was really fucking good. I think it was Underground 2.
Because you can't do mods for the PS2. I mean,
I swear to God, it was on the PC. I'm actually going to check this because we don't have a fact checker for this.
Let me clarify. Of course you can mod things on the PS2 internet. It's just a lot harder because you then have to burn it onto a disc, or you'd have to play it from a computer or a laptop, you know. And, of course, you'd have to physically own the game because you shouldn't be downloading the game illegally. So it's definitely a lot harder to...
Yeah, I physically own Need for Speed Underground. I'm pretty sure. And I need to confirm this because now my mind is going to, like, you know.
No, that's what I love. During the Gravity Falls podcast, Satish is just ripping out whatever hair is on his head because you cut it real short, man. Whatever hair is on, you're like, I must find this.
Yeah.
Like, Satish, we're doing episode 4, season 2. I must find Need for Speed Underground. But no, seriously, all jokes aside, you know, when it comes to, you know, different fans, and in no way I'm going to say that someone that likes Japanese words in their, you know, in their show, a bad fan or terrible or anything. You know, I'm just with the camp that enjoys localization so long as it serves the story. In other words, I'm not saying...
It did come out for PC.
Okay. In other words, I'm not saying that we should say that, you know, like Gravity Falls, right? Oh, you know, Gravity Falls being brought over to Japan? Yeah, no, not in Oregon. No, not Gravity Falls, Oregon. Let's let it be, you know, and you know, let's let it be in, like, you know, the sticks of Japan. Let's change the, like, no, I'm not saying that either. Or the reverse. Oh, you know, anime coming to America? It's in L.A. now. Like, no, I'm not saying I enjoy the fact that Case Closed, the English dub, happened in L.A., right? I'm not saying that I enjoy the fact that, you know, like, while I love Case Closed, the dub, and while I love Phoenix Wright, not saying that I enjoy the fact that the ramen place became a burger place in the first, you know, game. And then I think by the second or third game, they were actually sitting at their ramen shop, and the localizers in Capcom were like, ah, crap.
That's funny.
It happened. So, you know, I'm not saying that we need to, like, change everything because it's like, no, you know, America the Great, everything is rice balls. Everything. I'm sorry, not rice balls. What am I saying? Donuts. Everything is a donut.
I was so confused. I'm like, when did America?
And you know the donut thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. For anyone who doesn't know, the Pokemon thing. Rice balls would have made sense. No, they were donuts, apparently. These donuts are awesome. It's like, that's not a donut.
I love that so much, by the way, because there's screen caps of that everywhere on the internet.
Yeah. But they got better. Recent ones, I forgot what Ash was holding. He was holding some food, and then they digitally tweaked it into, like a sub as in, like, a hero sandwich. And that I like, because that actually took work. But, wait
Good on them.
Sorry about that, everybody. No. Seriously, though, I mean, here's the thing, right? Just a quick little tiny tangent. That happens a lot nowadays. If you've heard the whole thing about, like, How I Met Your Mother or certain other episodes airing on certain stations in syndication and actually having little adverts or newer versions of technology or things like that, as in, How I Met Your Mother, they're walking by a billboard. Hey, isn't that movie new? Isn't that movie coming out? Companies will pay money to have the adverts put in there that way while the show is happening. not like, you know, a commercial, like an actual, like, a poster is changed to a poster for a new movie. Companies will do this, and then they will pay other companies to digitally do that.
Which is really cool.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's what happened with Pokemon. And I think that's cool, right? I'm not saying that I would do it, but I'm saying that's cool, right? But when it comes down to actual lines and everything, you know, I think when I think of localization, and I enjoy it, the localization that I enjoy is the idea that, you know, a monster has a name which is like, you know, like, you know how Sentai monsters, you know, we talked about Sentai in our last show that we did, Super Sentai, you know, Power Rangers in America, what it became, the footage used. So we talk about Super Sentai. You've seen some of these monsters and how their names are portmanteaus. You know, they're basically like mixed between different beings, like, you know, maybe like different animals or different, like, you know, different cars or like different automobiles, things like that. So, like, you know, if you're going to have a mix like this, right, even if the word's in Japanese over there, they laugh at the joke and they get it, right? Like, I mean, hell, I think I've mentioned this to you off air, the show Ghost Ager, which, I mean, everyone has an opinion on that. I'm not going to say it's the best show in the world. But what I will say is that their monsters, all their names were made up of American and Japanese movie titles. Now, this wasn't able to be picked up while the show was airing because it is kind of hard to realize that when you're doing it by ear. Even if you have the scripts in front of you, you don't know about the references just yet. But once the show was over, it's like, oh, wait, yeah. Like, you know, like, this one is based off of the name Fantastic Four. So it's like, all right, how do we shift that into the way it was done in the name? Like, even if some, like, kanji was switched around, it's like it was done in a way where the person watching in Japan, the Japanese person or the person who spoke Japanese, could laugh and go, huh, haha, you know, that says Mission Impossible, and it's about a spy robot. That's funny. Something like that, right? I made one up, I think, but something like that where it's like, that's actually really funny. You know, it's like, wait, that one is, you know, that one uses electricity, and it's undead, and it's basically called Stein Franken. That's really funny.
That's a nice one. That's subtle and probably accurate, actually.
That one probably has happened. But little things like that. So, Cat Strange is one of those things where it's like, hey, you know, like, that's why, like, it brings that inner person in me where she's like, man, that's such a good joke. And if it was happening elsewhere, or people who, because Gravity Falls does air in Japan. So it's kind of like,
and in other countries, I know it's aired in India too, I think. So
Russia
it's kind of like, you know, it's funny to think about the localizations there. It'll probably work.
Yes. But yeah, so that's kind of how I, like, that's how I, you know, bringing my fan perspective in this is so like, man, you know, people who have to translate this for a living, good luck.
Seriously, good luck.
We don't think about that. We don't think about that as, you know, because we're Americans. So to us, it's just like, no, it's end of the world. It came out in America already.
What we do think about is our little, like, freak-out sessions over Gravity Falls and our conspiracy theories. And here we are with our character, Stanford, again, bringing some kind of ridiculous device into the plot line.
And I love that he already, I know stuff has happened off screen, but he already trusts Dipper so much, and it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. Because, you know, he trusts him so much, he's like, oh, yeah, he used, like, some might say that he was being, you know, like, dismissive as if he wasn't being a good parent. And I know that he isn't a parent, because he hasn't a kid, so he isn't a parent. But what I'm saying is that, like, the idea is that, you know, I do feel like he trusts Dipper. Like, if Mabel was somehow down there and grabbed that, he'd be like, no.
Yeah, no, it did me laugh. Don't use it for evil and whatever.
Yeah, et cetera. Like, it was really nice, because it's like he does trust Dipper so much that it's kind of, you know, of course Dipper knows don't use it for evil. And to be fair, in theory, Dipper wasn't using it for evil. See, I liked it because there's a lot of stuff that I liked about this. The idea that, you know, first off, okay, the idea that it's like, you know, some might say, oh, he's trying to control Stan. It's like, yeah, because if Stan doesn't win, Gleeful wins, you know, Bud wins, and if Bud wins,
they're fucked.
Then everyone, the entire town is. Because where does it stop from there? Gideon can try to
he's going to pardon Gideon and then ruin the Pines.
Not just the Pines, the entire town could be in trouble.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the mayor put him away in man jail, like real, like, you know, like adult jail. Which, by the way, love Gideon's impression, like, love him talking about adult jail. Because I'm like, dear God, where is this going to go? And I was like, where is this going to go? Gideon's in jail, and adult jail. What is going to be talked about here? And then it's just like, it's just like, I hate it here. I have to eat, terrible food. And a man took me, I can't, I don't sleep well because a man took my pillow for a wife. And I was like, that'll do, pig. That'll do. That'll do,
funny.
Waddle. That'll do. And then the whole, we're going to make these bracelets. Because, of course, Gideon runs the entire prison already. Let's be honest here. Gideon gets put in prison, right? He doesn't even run it through fear. He doesn't have to yet. He just runs it because, little old me. And it's like, crap. Of course you would.
No, I understand.
But getting back to, the whole, I really like that it's just, Stan has to win this. So in a way, it is, I love that Dipper did say, though, because we've mentioned this in the Love God podcast before, and we're not going to make the joke that we do with WWE where it's like, hey, Alex Hirsch listens to us. No, because I'm pretty sure the entire internet said, that's morally ambiguous. So I love that when Dipper got the tie, he was like, that's morally ambiguous. And I was like, thank you, guys. Thank you. At least you said it out loud. Thank you.
I wonder if it's subtle, by the way.
The Reagan thing?
Oh, no, that was fun.
Yeah.
Okay. So in shows like this, people and myself will often sit and criticize certain things in the sense of, the mechanics of the supernatural stuff provided. For example, if it was just, before he gave Dipper the second tie, I was kind of annoyed. It was only a 30-second span, but I was annoyed. Because I sat there and I'm like, conceivably, how am I going to believe that him just wearing this tie connects him to Dipper at all?
Yes.
And then immediately he's like, as long as you're wearing this matching tie. And I was like, wow, that makes sense to me. I'm sorry. I'm a stickler for that kind of stuff. So it made me really happy that there was some kind of logic as to whoever is wearing the matching tie controls him.
Yeah, no, it's actually, it's nice because, Doctor Who and some other sci-fi shows will do that too, where it's logic in the sense that it's like, oh, yes, see, there's two matching ties, or, oh, it's this kind of theme. But they'll always give it some fun name, or they'll use things that shouldn't, don't actually work in real life. As far as we know, our government does not have matching ties that do that. It would be funny, that's why all the president wears
I love that
ties.
you said as far as we know.
That's always my stance on things, right? It's like, hey, look, as far as we know, aliens never crash-landed to Earth. Am I going to sit there and tell you that they did? Am I going to, craft my lovely hat out of tinfoil? No. But, I still have that feeling of hey, as far as we know, insert thing here. As far as we know, insert thing here. And before anyone says, oh, come on, but it's like, look, are you going to tell me that the government, there is no government that has ever been extremely honest with their people. And sadly, sometimes when they are extremely honest, it's more of a totalitarian kind of thing where it's honestly, if you do this, I'm going to kill you. And it's at least he's honest. But he's going to kill me if I do this.
The Lego movie? Taco Tuesday is coming up, and if you don't follow the rules, you'll be put... Oh, no, it's if you don't follow the rules, you'll be put to sleep. And Taco Tuesday is coming up. How about that, ladies and gentlemen? That's the Lego movie. I died.
I love that movie.
I loved it, because the main character's wait, did he just say put to... Oh, Taco Tuesday.
Yes. But yeah, I just, I do enjoy the whole idea where it's the physics. If you actually tried to break it down, it probably wouldn't make sense.
Break it down, you say?
No. But the Wits don't play that. Wits don't play.
No, I was going to reference the fact that Stan danced.
Yes. Oh God, no. But no. So yeah, the idea that I had it right. The physics don't make sense exactly, but the idea, you could always do it's a sectronic beam. Oh, what does it do? This, and this. Oh, crazy. That didn't explain shit. They just told you what it did, So Ford isn't going to explain the intricacies of it all, but it's hey, it still makes sense. It's yes, you did, put that there, then you put that there, bam, they're connected. Oh, yeah. It's funny, though, because I don't remember the Manchurian Candidate, if I ever have seen it. I think it's been a very long time. So in my head, this was the plot for the Manchurian Candidate.
That's a funny thought process.
It's just, yeah, man, they had the whole ties and everything, man. Totally how it works.
I mean, the Manchurian Candidate, I think, is at least 10 years old.
Yeah.
I'm not very great with this stuff, to be honest with you, because movies are not my strongest thing.
But it's not old in the sense that we weren't kids when it came out, but we weren't. It's, right now we're both. I'm 23.
No, yeah, it was from. Oh, okay, never mind. I'm sorry. The remake was from 2004.
Ah.
The original one is from 1962.
Of course.
And the book is from 1959. So that actually that makes a bit more sense.
Yes.
And I'll read the Wikipedia opening paragraph, and it might shed some light on this reference.
Okay.
The Manchurian Candidate. Go ahead.
No, you first.
The Manchurian Candidate by Richard Condon, 1959, is a political thriller novel about the son of a prominent U.S. political family who is brainwashed into being an unwitting assassin for a communist conspiracy.
Yeah. Except this time it's used for good.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I want to mention, right, is that I don't know if they were trying to actually do this, but this is something that I came out with, and I don't want to try and shit on politics, because I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I know the intricacies of politics and all that stuff and politicians. But I want to say one thing. I enjoy that it came down to both. I mean, yes, it was a third candidate, but out of the two that everyone was quote unquote was supposed to be focusing on, it was the idea where it's like, hey, it's gleeful, could possibly destroy the Pines and the entire town. Stan, not necessarily convicted all of the time, but a felon who's done a lot of shady shit during his life. These are your two candidates. And I loved it, and I'm not trying to say that this is what politicians are. I'm trying to say the idea where you look at one and you're like, man, that one's terrible, and I don't know if I agree with them. The other one, man, that one's slightly less terrible. Don't you like that? It's like these are your candidates. And also the one that we thought, the third one, where we were just like, oh, it's the Gatham guy. He probably, we'll think that he'll get in because we're watching Gravity Falls. But if we were new to it, we'd be like, oh, that guy will never get it, right? Because he has no backing. He's just the third guy. That's your third smaller party that isn't Democratic or Republican. That's the third party.
I think it was interesting because, now, this is funny because I don't usually talk about political views on air, but I'm a registered independent, and that, it comes with jokes because of the fact that, okay, we have presidential debates, and the independent candidate isn't even invited to the freaking party.
That's right, because Donald Trump should be the
winner. No, it'll
be
funny. We've got libertarian candidates, we got a lot of independent candidates, and they'll never get invited. It's always Democrats and Republicans. I think it's really funny that it worked out the way it did in, Manchurian Candidate. Subtle stuff was really fun for me. The mockery of political speeches, in the sense of, the crowd, good, he's saying all the right things. He's saying all the right things. And it's funny to me because it makes me feel like I'd be a shitty politician. Because, I think I'd just be really direct about it, and then people would kill me. Because it's oh, God, look, he gave an opinion.
A little bit like Stan. Not too much, because you wouldn't talk about the whole... You know what I like? The idea of putting the kids to fight on an island, and I'm like, okay, Battle Royale.
That was a reference to Battle Royale, I swear.
Well, Hunger Games.
Well, Battle Royale is as an inspiration for Hunger Games, no?
No. People that were Battle Royale fans first will make jokes and shit on Hunger Games for, quote-unquote, essentially being Battle Royale, but there are not ties to Battle Royale and Hunger Games. Battle Royale did come first, the novel, but there are no direct ties. No one, as far as I know, no one who has made or worked on Hunger Games said, oh, yeah, Battle Royale, inspiration. No. Besides, there are intricacies in Hunger Games that are not existent in Battle Royale. I'm not saying it's deeper, but there are differences in their world. You know, so I can't say that they are directly the same exact thing. It's a similar concept.
I'm not either. I just said that there's similarities there.
No.
There are.
There are similarities, of course. That's why I said in my head, I was like, Battle Royale reference. But really, it's funny. I shouldn't say really, because sometimes you look at the show and you're like, hey, these people really like anime. Or it's just any kind of, stuff like that. I mean, we know Steven Universe a lot. We notice that. But anywho, but still, I like the political stuff only because it was just really funny how it felt like, here's your candidate, and then here's your other candidate. Like, neither of them are squeaky clean and people that I want to vote for. Great! Pick one you like the most or hate the least, whichever. Yes. Speaking of, quickly talking about, we talk about, we'll get right back into Gravity Falls. Just you mentioned before, we were talking about Republicans, Independents, Democrats. There's so many people running for the Republican Party vote. It's to the point where I feel like they should all just drop out and form like a Japanese pop group.
I'm with it.
Just 15 Republicans. You're like, yeah, sure, why not?
You need a shot of B12.
That's actually, what I was thinking of. Just, have we ever gotten 15 Republican senators to just get together and just sing? No.
And then suddenly, is everything okay? The Democrats have 16.
Oh, God, just everybody who's part of the USA needs a good old shot of America.
America and freedom. Good, can you say all the right things?
A certified American doctor shot out from a needle gun. Don't take away my needle gun. Obama. Anyway, I should probably go back to the show.
That would be good, yeah.
I should probably fucking... but it's funny, though, because it's like, you went off topic. We talked about politics. What was the episode about? Shut up.
Politics.
Yeah, right. But I really
Victory
like
us.
that the guy... Yes, right. This week there. I really like that the guy won, though. The Get Him guy, and he's like, God... I was like, oh, my... It was a character arc that I never realized existed.
I think it was really interesting to me because, okay, so Stan won, quote-unquote, and my first thought was, Stan cannot possibly be mayor.
Of course not, yeah.
They would not allow that to happen as a story device.
I thought he was going to be DQ'd, even though... I thought it was going to be a thing where it's even though he saved the kids, and by doing that, he was number one vote, because he left the debate, I thought it was going to be no, but he left the debate, therefore he's DQ'd. But no, they just understood, hey, we're going to research this guy. Somewhat.
I just laughed at how literal it was.
Yeah.
We'll spend the rest of this broadcast dedicated to discussing Stan Pines' crimes.
Yes. Oh, God.
And
then
he shut off the TV, and it was at least they didn't talk about any of the bad stuff. And I was like, oh, my God.
The pug trafficking made me laugh so hard because he's like, and speaking of something completely unrelated, I have some really cheap pugs that I got to get off my hands.
I laughed because I was like, this is ridiculous. This is absolutely
Did you read the whole
ridiculous.
thing, by the way? Because the crimes, I can't remember, but do you remember what the last thing said?
No, I tried. I didn't go back. What happened?
Okay. It was pug trafficking, this, making really long jokes even though I really have some stuff to do, okay? It's not verbatim, but essentially it was making really long jokes like this, even though I have stuff to do.
That's funny.
I love that those happen all the time, and they're wonderful. Carla, Carla, I love you, and I never had the guts to say it.
Right, I remember that.
Yeah, and then Stan was talking, he was a flashback to that girl that he used to like in their favorite 1950s themed restaurant in the 1970s, right? And all of a sudden it was just and her name was Carla. And I was like, wait a minute. Hold on a second.
Yep.
Who on staff and loved a Carla, right? But yeah, so just talking about the episode overall, we've taken these last two episodes we've done, we had a bit more of a relaxed, not so much, pinpointing.
A little leeway with it.
Yeah, well, because they are filler, and we really enjoyed them. Of course, we enjoyed both episodes, but yeah, they were filler, and I don't know. I mean, I feel like there's not a lot to say about this other than the one thing I do want to mention, as I said a little bit earlier, I really want to focus on, man, Gideon has the chance to come back and do some shit now. Even though
it got intense. Hello? Hey, Matthew. I don't know if you're around there. There might be some technical difficulties going on here between you and I. I want to keep talking on the off chance that I am not off the air right now. So, it got really intense because that scene at the end with the wheel was particularly scary because, we've seen this wheel over and over. We see it at the end of the title screen. Title sequence? Sequence is the correct word. At the end of the sequence, and we see that flash for a second, and we've seen the wheel before, and the symbols particularly are supposed to represent everybody in town, like specific people, Robbie, Dipper, Mabel, the Stan brothers. So I really look forward to seeing what exactly that wheel is supposed to represent because of the idea of, all right, if there's that many characters in town that are on this wheel, I think it's 12 or so, it's going to be something that's really significant that is going to hit hard. And, we look at where we are, where we're now at we just had episode 14, and we've got, in a couple weeks, based on where we are, episode 15 coming up.
Yeah.
And so we've got another, less than 10 episodes now of this season.
Depends on how many are going to...
Yeah, because, if it really was a mid-season finale, we've got less than 10. So the clock's going to pick up a little bit.
Yes, you need these episodes now and again because again, not even just for character development, but still, if it was constant action all the time, in a way you'd feel a little bit. That's what. First off, I love how we're just transitioning as if that didn't happen. But I feel like
it didn't happen.
When it comes, no, but seriously, I enjoy the fact that the way the action works here because you look at something like we talk about wrestling a lot. In other podcasts, but sometimes we bring it to the table in other podcasts, just little bits here and there, right? This is very relevant now, though, because WWE, talking about WWE's version of professional wrestling, right, sports entertainment, they air 2 shows on live television every single week. That means that you're going to have wrestling on 2 shows every single week. Now, they're not always as good as the pay-per-view because, again, that is free TV, and, you have to pay for a pay-per-view. It would be like, Gravity Falls, even though having great television, stepping it up for the movie. If there was a theatrical movie. Of course you always step it up for the movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
But still, the idea that, with all the action happening all the time, it really kind of does desensitize you from some of these matches in a way where in Gravity Falls, at least, right, you have that ability to go, let's be a little slow. Where if you're slow on Raw, what are you doing? Are you not going to have fights on your wrestling show, right?
Yeah.
Which is what?
No, go on. I agree with you completely.
Oh, sorry. Which is a problem, with that. But, so that's why it's kind of hard sometimes when you talk about wrestling. If you hear us talk about it, or if you don't, you'd be like, man, they do, because those 2 shows are combined 5 hours with the commercials included in the broadcast. 5 hours of wrestling per week, right? That's a lot to take in, 5 hours per week. Even if you're going to say, it's only 3 hours and 40 because, you're just adding up the times without commercials. 3 hours and 40 minutes of wrestling per week. Man, that's a lot of, but thankfully with Gravity Falls, we do have that kind of way to say, hey, we don't have to just have, plot every single week, because if we did, that's why some series are 13 episodes, and that's just their format. That's their easier format of going, we won't really have filler because we're doing 13 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And to be fair, we use the word filler, but, this isn't anime. I love anime, but this isn't anime where filler is made, even though there's some great filler stories out there. They're made because, manga gets caught up, right? The manga got caught up, we have to know. This isn't filler that's just made because Hirsch is like, man, we really got to make this go longer. This isn't a Supernatural kind of thing, as much as I love Supernatural. This isn't a Supernatural kind of thing where it's just sometimes it feels like they know that the fans want to watch a show more, and they know that the show's getting good ratings, so it doesn't feel like there's an end in sight sometimes, and it just, it's leading up to the end of the season, not to an end of a show, right? And hell, we didn't even mention it last episode. I wanted to mention Supernatural because, in our last podcast that we did, I think you praised, and I think I at least said something about it, agreeing. The idea that, Dipper and Mabel are having these troubles. Well, I don't like it in Supernatural. I don't like it because it happens all the time, to me. You know, where it's always like a will they, won't they with these two brothers of like, are they friends? Are they on good terms? Or are they not? Are they brooding? So it gets tiring to me. Here, it's the first time that's happening, and they're also little kids. Not to say that that's completely childish. I don't want to, like, say Sam and Dean this and that. But still, like, they're kids, and, you know, you think about their future and their relationship, and you see how it's mirrored in Stan and Stan, which is cool. But anyway, jumping back into this. So, yeah, it's nice that they can have these slower episodes, but still pack enough into it that you sit there and you're like, man, that was funny. I want to see more. And I'm really happy they did it this way. You know, I'm really happy that they included at least a little bit because there is some Gideon foreshadowing there. I feel like there is some Gideon foreshadowing there, just like in last episode. There's,
just
they showed.
literally. I mean, it's kind of scary.
Yeah.
We have fucking Bill coming back.
Yeah. I mean,
And Gideon possessed his dad and left him for. I mean, I don't know what side effects that mind control spell has.
Yes. Probably nothing big compared to, like, it probably wouldn't hurt him as much as the Forget Me Ray. I forgot what it was called.
Yeah, that's really funny, actually. I know you weren't trying to make a joke, but
that has to be from somewhere. It has to be. It feels like it's from somewhere.
But
the Forget Me Ray.
The tie, I think, was interesting because I thought it was just an off joke, but when they tested it on Seuss, did you see the way he reacted?
He was okay, it's interesting. Seuss was in pain, but for some reason I feel like Grunkle Stan was unaffected, maybe because he's experienced. Like, Grunkle Stan's a fighter, and he's a con man, and he's been through so much in his life that I feel like for him it was kind of like, that's weird. Not like, oh no, there was pain and, flashed before my eyes. But for Seuss, I don't know, maybe like it's just experience, people experience it differently, or because Seuss is like you or I, or at least myself, I don't train, right? I haven't gone through it, like, I haven't broken any, like, you go through pain, like, like your leg, your knee, this, and that. Me, I don't, like, I've never broken a bone in my body. And as far as I know, I'm not in peak physical condition, but I am in physical condition. So I am alive, according to the doctor when he checked my pulse. So
you think,
like, if that happened
you
to
are.
me, what? Yeah, right.
You think,
pretty much.
Therefore you are. Although that only takes me back to a Robin Williams joke. But go on.
No, Descartes, man, good guy. So I kind of sit there. And it's kind of like, if that happened to me, yeah, maybe I'd start to feel like I'm dying or whatever. But for Stan, it could literally just be a haze.
Yeah, I think it was subtle, but it made me think for a second, because Seuss was
like,
scared
it was
to death.
scary.
And
yeah, it was scary.
Because I think Stanford implies that it's not a perfect device. He says something along the lines that, like, there might be a few kinks.
Yeah. Also, getting back to that Reagan thing, just the choice of words there, by the way. Like, when I gave it to Reagan's masters, and I'm like, I'm sorry, can you repeat that to me?
It was so literal, and I was like, guys, that was fun.
Yeah, no, it's kind of a thing where it's like, it wasn't even like, oh, his, it wasn't even like, Reagan's workers or, Reagan's, like, handlers. Handlers is the word you'd usually hear in a term like that. No, like, Reagan's masters, and it's like, I'm sorry, did we just slip that in there?
Yeah, and they did.
Yeah. But yeah, so, anything you want to say about the episode? I mean, look, I'm happy that the guy won. I want to see what happens with him winning, because he's mayor now. Also, we really have to sit there and, like, finally that mayor died. Like, we were sitting there and we were like, man, when is he going to die? I mean, not like in, like, we want him to die.
I guess because Gravity Falls goes by, like, their old school laws. Like, the Gideon guy is going to be there until he dies.
Yeah. So he's going to be the mayor.
They don't have term limits.
No, because, where they live and hell, like, the Eagle had to pick it out based on how much birdseed they threw into a birdseed container. I'm happy about that because I was a little nervous about the fact that I thought, oh, God, the bird's just going to choose out of nowhere. No, they had their presidential birdseed. And then, right, not only did the Eagle, I love that the Eagle actually kissed Grunkle Stan.
It was actually a bird kiss. Like, it was a very literal.
Yes.
The Freedom Eagle.
By the way, that's another reason why I thought there was a chance Stan was going to be DQ'd. He punched Eagles in the face, and I'm like, that's why he isn't going to be the mayor, not because of his criminal record. It was funny. It was a good joke, but I thought that Stan did enough against actually standing there and being, I am, president, I am the mayor, I am official. Even though he did save the kids, I thought it was going to be a situation where it's like, that was just me. By the way, Gideon, he's a lot younger than the other two. He's smart and he's cunning, but he's a lot younger than the other two, obviously,
That's correct.
right? I only say this because it was very interesting because most of the time he's very rational and he knows exactly what he's doing. But he was I don't know if it was like a thing with the show where they had a sense or something, but did you notice that Gideon sits up, right? Gideon's walking around with, Bud, and he's like, ha-ha, the explosions will go off and then you'll be trapped. And I'm like, no, the explosions will kill them on impact. They're sitting right next to explosions. Like, do you think that was a Disney Channel thing? Because they've said kill and death a lot.
I do think it was a Disney Channel thing. Because, it's implied, they're on the bombs. We can put two and two together without Gideon having to
Anyone can, even
and
kids.
And then you'll be blown to smithereens. Although, I use that phrase specifically because I really do think they could have said blown to smithereens. And, it would have been fine.
No, because it was so weird because Gideon, but the thing is, Gideon's goal made sense in the sense that he's like, we will trap you like I am trapped in prison. See how it feels. And it's like, but Gideon, there's no dynamite. You're not dead in prison. I was so confused. I'm assuming, again, Disney Channel thing, but the way they changed the line didn't make it seem like a quick edit. That was his train of thought.
Mm-hmm. And that's okay if it is. Because it's implied, I think, Mabel and Dipper are 12, and Gideon's 10.
Okay, yeah. So there's a chance that even though he's very cunning and smart, he may not understand certain things.
He is 10. Okay, you know why?
Why?
Or at least this is me guessing. When they went back in time 10 years for Seuss.
Right, he was a baby.
Is a newborn
little old baby. Yeah.
So, logically, he is 10.
Yeah. Also, very shocked that he was doing well as Bud because, I was happy with the whole, I have a little plan, and Stan's like, you're really creeping me out. But with everyone else, I thought they would be creeped out too, where, I don't know, to me, just public opinion, little baby being cute like that, little 10-year-old Gideon, aw. 40-plus-year-old Bud Gleeful, oh.
Yeah, I'm with you completely. Especially because, Bud Gleeful is not portrayed as, an attractive guy. So I just assumed
even
that,
then, I don't, even if you look like Tad Strange.
Because of his age.
Right.
No, that was one criticism I had of the episode, where I was like, I think that's a little bit too much, toying with the public opinion thing.
Yes. I'll admit, if he was, if he was telling jokes, sadly we are in, it's always been the idea where it's like, hey, gain some weight and you'll be hilarious, right? Kevin James, Chris Farley, who I still love. I love Chris Farley. But Chris Farley, I think it was John Belushi? It's like, oh, when he was heavy, it's always as if you're the heavy guy. It's like, aren't you hilarious? It's like, okay, whatever. But still, that, I understand if they would be like, oh, he's hilarious, but they were doing it where oh, he's so adorable, and I'm like, I feel like the public opinion would be creeped out, and that's what I thought was actually going to lose him the election. He's gonna be like, damn it, because Gideon doesn't get it. He's doing his own thing, and his own thing works for him, not for other people. So that's what kind of confused me. I was like, wow, that's actually working. I was like, huh, interesting.
Yeah, that definitely was one criticism I had where I think that was taken a little too far.
Yes. One thing I enjoyed, though, and I'm sure you did too, the jumping away from the explosion, I saw it coming, but I was like, please do it. Please, 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 please do it. And then they did.
I smiled. I love, so by the way, the kids, if I die, make sure I get a bigger grave than Ford.
And they were so into it. They were like, you know what? We'll do it for you. We love Ford's great, but we're going to do it for you, Grunkle Stan.
I loved that a lot, where I was just like, God damn it.
Yes. Just that wedge is still, even to the grave, that's how bad their wedge is right now, between their relationship, even to the grave. Make sure I get a bigger gravestone than Ford. You got it,
definitely
Grunkle Stan.
got me.
Yeah. And then, they jumped away from the explosions, which were great. And, we're at the end of the episode. Anything you want to mention that came in between before I talk about the cryptograms?
No, bring those up, because I think that'll bring up some more of what I'm thinking.
All right. Cryptogram in the end credits, which when decoded with the Viginary, okay, that's my New York version. Yeah, it's the Viginary key. You know, it's the
Let's
Viginary.
go with that.
Work in it translates to get 'em. The key can be seen in the upper left-hand corner of a newspaper. Did you hear about these keys? Did you hear about these cryptograms or no?
I didn't. I think I heard the more serious one, and not kid. I did not hear that yet, and that's why I'm laughing so hard.
That's why I'm like, dude, you're okay? The one in the last end page with, the last page which was on Grunkle Stan's face, it looks like, is Gideon's sign. It says, "Be wary of whom you belittle. Big problems can start out whittle."
Yeah, I kind of.
And that's why I've been
that.
saying what I've been saying the entire episode. The entire our entire podcast episode, yeah.
Yeah, Gideon's a threat, and that's what I was saying in the beginning when I said, I was worried about him turning good. Because I just, Pacifica misunderstood, and I liked what they did with her. Yeah. I don't really, there's nothing that can make me, Gideon's one of those people that needs to stay heel for a while. Because,
you reminded me, heel isn't just a wrestling term. I think nowadays we will equate it to a wrestling term more so than anything. But in the old, the Grinch Stole Christmas, the old animated one, it's like, "You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. You really are a heel."
Oh, yeah. That's right. That's the line, isn't it?
Yes. So it's an older term in general. Not sure if it did get its start from wrestling roots in general. So if it did,
the Grinch is obviously a wrestler.
Don't. WrestleMania 32, Jim Carrey as the Grinch. In The Grinch Stole WrestleMania. Even though it happens in April, celebrities, man. Celebrities.
Honestly, The Grinch Stole WrestleMania would probably be an animated special I would watch.
They got to get Jim Carrey to do it, or a great Jim Carrey impersonator.
Jim Carrey, large bag, John Cena is kidnapped.
It'd be Eva Marie or something.
Who's kidnapped?
Yes.
Oh, I was saying it has to be.
You were thinking Eva Marie would be
John
the Grinch?
Has to be. That's why I was confused.
Yeah.
No, but that is not my number one choice. Because I don't think he screams Grinch to me. I think Damien Sandow would probably be my choice.
He was already Santa.
He could do. I feel like Damien Sandow can do any role.
We can't do this to the public. They don't know. They don't know wrestling. But seriously. But
I thought we were doing wrestling for a moment.
It came back to it, right? We do wrestling so much, everyone, that Satish is he gets these flashbacks. It's like, no, we're in the middle of. No, wait, no, we're not.
Yes, because Grinch stole WrestleMania.
Yes. But anywho, so heel is a legit word. But no, I agree with you completely, though. Because, look, if you want to tell me that Gideon will become that, if we think about about anime, I always bring stuff to Dragon Ball Z only because I love it so much. But this does have some relation to Dragon Ball Z in the sense that Goku goes around making friends of those that were once his enemies. So Pacifica becoming their friend, I wouldn't consider Pacifica the Vegeta, even though you might say, oh, but misunderstood. No, I would consider Gideon more so the Vegeta, where if he does work with them from time to time in the future, I don't see him becoming, Vegeta did become a lot nicer as the series went on, to be fair.
Yeah, no, but Gideon can't be Vegeta in that sense. I know what you're going for here.
Early Vegeta, though. Earlier, where Vegeta would just,
asshole Vegeta. When he...
Yes.
The type of guy that faked the Majin possession just so he could fight Goku with more power.
Yes, correct.
That guy. Not later on fighting with, I have a son. I am nice.
No, it's funny because literally in the same sentence, the guy that would, fake that to try to beat Goku at stronger power, not the guy that would do that to save his son from Majin Buu. right? You see, kind of like, even though it's in the same arc, it's still the same
funny, right? Because
thing.
those are two different people. Because like, it really was a development when he realized what he had to do. That was a beautiful last moment. I don't care what I say.
It was. Yeah, no, it was.
He himself, he's just like, even you, Kakarot. And it's like, fuck.
But anyway, so yeah, that's what I mean. The idea that, like, I can see him more as that.
I don't see Gideon becoming that Vegeta. I don't see him becoming, like, the self-sacrificial person.
No,
I always look at him as, like, immature and, like, trying to get ahead of the times. But if he realizes that, like, it's one of those things where, like, okay, if Bill destroys the world, there is no world for Gideon to rule. If Bill destroys
Gravity Falls or anything,
yeah, you know, it's going on a smaller scale. There's no Gravity Falls for Gideon to rule. So why would he let that happen?
Exactly.
So I figure that like that would be the means for the team up. I think it's very good that you pointed out the whole "the enemy is my friend" thing, because that's the only way I think I would logically accept the team up.
Yeah. I mean, there's no reason why it could happen in any other way. And I don't want to call this in like, we're calling it early, but no. But I mean, they're really. I think
it's a really smart, like, hypothesis.
Yeah, the way I look at this creative team and Alex Hirsch, they do have these twists and these plot turns, and I do consider the brothers thing a twist, even though people said that they called it, and I don't disagree with them. I'm sure they did, but I still consider it a big twist because it could have easily not happened. But then when it happened, you start going back and watching these episodes, and you realize it really did make sense. But you didn't have to, but if you weren't looking for it, if you weren't trying to affirm your own beliefs, which were correct, then it could have just been, he's reminiscing on the past. I mean, he just talked about Carla, and, and that, I believe he talked about Carla in Carpe Diem, though don't quote me on that. So the idea is he talks about Carla, and then he's looking at these glasses, and they're his old glasses, so, like, you can easily spin things into, like, old man reminiscing. It's like, no, he's thinking about his brother.
Yeah.
Right? We know that now with this information. So, but again, I do think that, they're not going to sit here and be like, wrong, Gideon. Like, I mean, if they make Gideon the big bad, though, in this season and not Bill, that makes me happy only because it has to sit there. You have to sit there and believe that they are confirmed for a movie or a third season. There's no way in hell you would end the show with, unless it got canceled, but it wouldn't because it's drawing a lot of money.
It
ratings
would probably
in general
be one of those like colossal mistakes that people talk about for years.
If it got canceled?
Yeah.
I truly feel like if it got canceled, it wouldn't stay canceled. In the sense that unless there's contracts involved, there's something.
Right?
It would either get a comic book run or another channel would say, if there aren't any contracts, but there could be contracts and red tape that we don't know about just yet, but it could easily happen. I truly believe it would happen. Hell, I think Netflix would laugh so hard because say they're going, are you telling me that there's a lot of fan appeal in this and, people will stay for it? Fuck yeah. One more season of Gravity Falls. Because you look at what all the and it's funny because 5 years ago that would be such a silly thing to say, right? Netflix making TV shows, but they've helped with Daredevil, Fuller House, the new American Wet Hot Summer, the new one, the actual series. So much stuff is coming out on Netflix. House of Cards, of course, is the bigger one that are coming out Netflix exclusive, only Netflix, and it's like wow, if Gravity Falls or something were to happen. I would not be surprised if Netflix said, we'll do it. If, Nickelodeon, though I truly feel like if there was, and I say red tape only because, it's like, does Disney still own the syndication rights for that, to re-air that for like the next year or so or something, right? So even when they canceled it, is there still a contract for them to air the other ones? Because in that case, of course you can't, just say, let's pack ship the Cartoon Network. But yeah, there's a lot that could happen if it did get canceled. I don't see it getting canceled. I do see it, if Bill isn't the main villain. If he isn't. I truly feel like it's like, we had Gideon once, we had the return for emphasis, and now we're going to finally build up to Bill. And we'll have more of Bill.
Gideon's not done.
No. He does not seem done at all from this episode alone, which I wonder if this episode is pivotal in saying, like, if this episode didn't happen, we're doing a 2-season thing. If this episode did happen, it's pretty much confirmed that we're going to have more after season 2. Because, I mean, I don't think they'd just have Gideon come back in the middle, have that be another huge thing, just smack in the middle of the second half of season 2, and then be like, yeah, Bill's coming up now. That would be too much. It can work, but that would still be too much. Like, then I'd agree with you. I'd be like, that's way too much to fit in. Because, like you said, how many do we have left again? We have 14 now. That means that if we're going by last season standard, that's 6 more episodes. We're going by what they wanted to go for, that's 7 more. We cannot fit Gideon coming back to fight and then a Bill season finale in that time frame.
That's true.
Yeah. But yeah, so we're going to wrap the show up. We would like to thank you guys for listening to those guys. Is there anything you want to say before we end the show, Sadish?
No, I think we covered most of it. We got off topic a little bit, but we do that a lot. And
yeah, no, we do that a lot on shows. But again, one of those weird things was we went off topic, but somehow it's relevant. Politics, you know. We went for but they went for translating animation. The show is animation.
The one thing I will say is that the promos leading up to the show were some of my favorites, so far, because they were the campaign ads for Bud Gleeful and Stan.
You can tell this show is getting a lot of money and a lot of ad in general, just interest in Disney. That I'm not going to sit here and say wasn't there before. I'm just going to say that I would argue that it's from a different amount, like a different age group, that while they could have stayed based on the fact that they grew up on Disney, they may have weaned off. That happens. That happens with channels. That happens with, I love Nickelodeon to death, but sometimes I look at their programming now and, I'm not the hugest fan of it. I don't hate it. I should probably sit down and give it a fucking try based on Dungeons, and more Dungeons. But I don't, right? But if Nickelodeon ended up having a show like Gravity Falls on it, you can bet your ass. Yeah, they could. Of course they could. They've had some great shows on their network over the years, and still do, to be fair. I'm not going to sit here and be like, everything they have is terrible. I'll never do that to, they have some great stuff on there. But still, I do feel like if they ended up, it can also get in fans that may have left because, they may have sit there and, they might say, oh, well, we loved SpongeBob. We loved SpongeBob, but now we don't really watch a lot of SpongeBob. Oh, we loved Fairly Odd Parents, but now we don't.
Right.
So here it was just like, hey, let's make a brand new show. And now it's just like, wow, everyone's into this. Like, everyone's into this. Not everyone, but still, pretty good ratings for where they put it, to be fair. And, I'm sure that the internet appeal is really helping it. But yeah. So I enjoyed the promos as well. They were really funny. I don't know if I saw the ones for Stan. I did see the ones for Bud Gleeful, and they were really funny.
They were.
Yeah. But yeah, so we would like to say thank you guys for listening to those guys. I'm going to do my little spiel, my whole little thing about our social media networks and everything. As all of you hopefully know, and if you don't, well, here we are. We have a lot of different ways for you to both contact us as well as listen to our shows. We have our main website, which is thoseguysonthenradio.tumblr.com, where we have all of our new shows and our old shows listed as they come out. You can, those guys on the radio.tumblr.com, our older shows and newer shows. We've done so many shows, WWE Monday Night Raw, WWE pay-per-views. We've talked about it enough where it's like, yeah, they do podcasts on that. Obviously Gravity Falls, Steven Universe, Mike Tyson Mysteries, Black Dynamite even, right? We also have done Dragon Ball Z movies and Dragon Ball Z specials /OVAs/OAVs. We've also done the same with Dragon Ball movies, and Dragon Ball OVAs. Same thing with Bleach movies, Bleach OVAs, and also, just a lot of other stuff as well, Gotham, Arrow, Flash, Supernatural, Doctor Who. I mentioned Pokemon video games earlier. We've done so many shows and so many things, I think last episode you said, and we mentioned this in our 200th podcast. It's like we've done more than 200 shows by now.
Yeah.
I feel like we're
half attempted 200 podcasts where I couldn't get Matt to emote until I pissed him off, and then he.
You know what's
emoted.
really funny? He says the word emote as if I wasn't fucking excited about what I was talking about. The problem was I was excited about the stuff that we usually talk about. That's why. It's not like I didn't emote. It's not like I was like, yes, I am speaking. No, I was happy about stuff.
He's completely right. And if you want to find out that I'm right, then go listen to our 200th podcast.
You really should. But anyway, so yeah, we've done more than 200 shows. I feel like we're like actors in the old days where it's just like, I've starred in 200 pictures in a year. Like back in the old days, those numbers were crazy. No, back in the old days, it was crazy. Where it was just like, either that or like I've starred in 200 pictures in a year. John, why are you talking in that voice? We got to shoot this porn.
Even that's a pretty ridiculous number.
It is, but anyway, but it's accurate. I don't know how accurate, but it's pretty accurate. For one of those industries, it's accurate.
I don't know the
For one of those industries, it's accurate.
Jesus Christ.
200 in a year for one of those industries, it's pretty accurate.
All right, Matt.
But anyway, we also have our Facebook, Those Guys on the Radio. We have our Twitter, @ThoseGuysRadio, and our Instagram, /Those Guys on the Radio. Also our Gmail, thoseguysontheradio@gmail.com, where you can email us and you can talk about sponsorship, promotional opportunities, anything like that, as well as different kinds of, you can email us about anything. Just say, hey, we like your shows. Hey, we don't like your shows. Hey, we'd really like if you did this show. I mean, we'll be talking to Satish in the background going, hey, we should do Beyblade. Hey, we should do Metabots.
And it's okay if you don't like us. Like that one person on YouTube who didn't like us because they listened to a podcast very late. But that's okay.
I love that, though, because, again, it's just you're listening, you're critiquing, you're talking about us. We don't want, to be fair, as long as it's nice critique. I don't want, again, critiquing, not, trolling. But,
I accept any critique. If you were to sit there and say, Satish, don't curse as much, I'd be like, you have a valid point.
No, but that's a critique. That's not trolling.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If someone said it to me, I'm fine with that because it's an accurate point.
Yeah. But yeah, so so definitely Those Guys on the Radio at gmail.com. Would love to hear back from you guys or any suggestions and ideas. That would be great. Also, we have ourselves our YouTube, of course. You can search up TGOTR or just Those Guys on the Radio, and you should be able to find us and our backlog of shows that we are constantly updating. And, of course, another way to find our backlog of shows is through iTunes. Yes, iTunes. You can search up Those Guys or Those Guys on the Radio and find us there. Speaking of, something else that we have, we also have exclusive podcasts. For any of you WWE fans that have been listening have been going, you know what, those are some funny jokes, or you know what, they're stupid. Either way, we have ourselves a Bandcamp account, tgotr.bandcamp.com. You can go there and hear us talk about, we have two different shows. You can hear us talk about WWE SummerSlam 2005, where we've done, the main event of that pay-per-view was Hulk Hogan versus Shawn Michaels in 2005. And we also have ourselves WWE Unforgiven 2005, where John Cena fought Kurt Angle for the WWE title. So both of those separately being $1 each. $1 each. You could pay more if you want to support us, or you can just pay the $1 and still support us, to be fair. You're still supporting us. And, listen to some of our exclusive content. So, again, we'd like to thank you guys for listening to Those Guys. And I think we're done, Satish.
I think we're all right.
All right. So, good night, everybody. And say good night, Satish.
Good night, Satish.